What's up, my beautiful people? This is your boy Stefan, your Afro-Grenadian ambassador. I am happy to have each and every one of you back on my channel. To all my subscribers, viewers, and channel members, a big shout out to you. Don't forget to watch all the ads that are placed on my video. And my returning viewers, I really do appreciate you returning every time I post a video to watch my videos. So thank you very, very much. Well, in today's video, my friends, we have Ruto come in and explain why the outrage and the protests that have went on for some time in Kenya. Ruto is saying that the protest was sparked by misinformation, and as soon as Kenyans learned that this information was not true, the protest stopped. Let us read all about it. President William Ruto, in an interview with German media, attributed the recent Gen Z protest, which left 50 people dead and 66 missing, to fake news and misinformation. Responding to questions from Dushwell, which is known as DW, journalist Fato Elika Moloshi, Ruto said that many Kenyans stopped protesting once they realized the demonstrations were fueled by disinformation. When people realized, quote, that the negativity surrounding the finance bill was based on fake news, they stopped. The demonstrations were fueled by misinformation, fake news, and disinformation, Ruto said in the interview, which was published on DW's website. Ruto, who was interviewed during a state visit to Germany, cited misinformation about certain taxes as a primary driver of the protests. There were rumors, quote, of tax on dogs, land, which did not exist. Criminals took advantage of the situation. A peaceful protester does not burn down buildings, unquote, he said, referring to reports of arson during the demonstration. So, Ruto is saying that the protest was sparked by misinformation. There were misinformation spreading, that rumors, they were the government was putting tax on dogs and land, and he said this was a lie. It did not exist, and there were criminals who took advantage of the situations. The president blamed criminals for damaging property, including setting parliament on fire and looting businesses. When Moloshi asked about claims of excessive force by police, Ruto defended law enforcement, stating that the police have a responsibility to protect property and lives. It is a delicate balance, but the police must protect innocent protesters and maintain order, he said. So Ruto is saying that these people, or most of these people that were protesting, were criminals who was taking advantage of the situation because of misinformation. And when he was asked about the lives that were lost, the people that were brutally beaten up by the officers, he defended and said the officers have a right to protect other peaceful protesters and property being destroyed. When asked about the missing, injured, and deceased from the protests, Ruto pledged support for the affected families and promised measures to prevent future casualties. In the same interview, Ruto announced the launch of a new program that aims to provide 200,000 job opportunities for Kenyan youth. So he was asked about the missing people and those who are injured, but he did not directly answer the question or address the matter. All that he said, that the families will be, there's a pledge to support affected families. How? We don't know, as he promised, that measures will be put in place to prevent future casualties. Ruto emphasized that the protests were primarily driven by a lack of economic opportunities. He assured citizens that his administration is working on several projects to create jobs and help vulnerable populations. A lot is happening, quote, he said, and we have launched resilient projects to tackle unemployment, Ruto noticed. So Ruto is saying that most of these protests that took place was because a lack of economic opportunities, or let's put it that way, the high unemployment rate among the youths. It was unemployed youths that did not have that opportunities were the ones that were on the streets, protesting and using this opportunity to make their voices heard. That is what basically Ruto is saying, as I'm gathering. And he's saying now there's a lot is happening. He promised that resilient projects are on the way to tackle this unemployment, to give the youths of Kenya more jobs. Ruto also blamed the economic strain on climate change, which he said has led to a cycle of droughts and floods, forcing the government to prioritize managing the effects of climate change over debt repayment and economic development. So he's also putting the blame on climate change. He said climate change is one of the reasons that is causing the plight of Kenya, the floods that they have been recently facing, the droughts, and all of these things that was happening to Kenya are a reason, is one of the reasons why so many people's lives are affected. No jobs, people are still below the poverty line, and it is causing, these are the things that is causing people to get upset, get people to are frustrated, desperate, and is sparking these protests. Our focus has been on addressing the immediate impacts of climate change, which has taken resources away from paying debts and building the economy, he said. He also touched on the country's growing debt crisis, stating that 26 African countries are in a similar situation. So Ruto is saying it's not only us, it's not only Kenya that is going through this plight. There are 26 other African countries that are going through similar situations. He said many expected Kenya to default, but I assured them it would not happen under my leadership, Ruto said. He added that his government has halted excessive borrowing and is seeking alternative revenue resources or sources. We are working with partners, including bilateral agreements, to access concessional funds that would help us manage our debt while driving development. And we know Kenya has a high development rate. In other words, that the infrastructure, they have been developing very fast as a country. But this fast development have been having a lot of backlash because it have been mounting to more and more debts, and according to Ruto is saying, President Ruto is saying that they are doing everything, putting plans in place to quell this issue or this matter in mounting to debts and repayment of debts. Ruto highlighted recent discussions with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who pledged $90 million to support Kenya's economic interventions, with an additional $60 million coming from other sources. On the international front, Ruto dismissed the notion that Kenya must choose between partnerships with either China or Europe. So that is another rumor on disinformation that Ruto said that was going wrong, that sparked this outrage. That Kenya must choose between the partners, or they must choose their destiny, either China or Europe. And Ruto is dispelling this misinformation, saying that is not the case. Such thing was never said. On the international front, Ruto dismissed the notion that Kenya must choose between partnership with either China or Europe. I read that already. We are not facing east or west. We are facing forward, he said. There are opportunities with both the east and the west, and we will pursue them in our national interest. The president also addressed criticism about his frequent travel, particularly remarks that he changed clothes at the airport. We had a wonderful experience with both my German and US counterparts. Our focus is on interests. We have no issue working with the West or the East when our interests align, he said. Ruto also revealed that his African Union AU colleagues have tasked him with overseeing reforms within the organization. The AU must be fit for purpose, Ruto stated, emphasizing the need for the union to focus on key issues such as inter-African trade, youth unemployment, and using Africa's resources to create jobs rather than exporting raw materials. But many are asking, if that's the case, that they are planning, they are doing everything to use African resources to create jobs, why they continue borrowing substantial amount of money from outside sources? We just read that millions and millions of dollars will be given to Kenya from Germany and other sources. So those sources were not named, but many are speculating it is the Western powers that Ruto is working for. And Ruto have indicated, as we read here, that he has no plans whatsoever in breaking ties with the Western powers. He will continue to work with them as long as their interests aligns with each other. That is Ruto words. My focus is to ensure that AU serves our continent countries and people in the West, and people in the best way, possible, he said, outlining his commitment to aligning AU institutions with Africans' current needs. So there you have it, guys. According to Ruto is saying this is what have caused this protest to spiral out of control over the few months, that Kenya was going through this controversial bill. Was disinformation and people taking advantage of the situation, lack of employment, high rate of youths that are not doing anything, took advantage and went on the streets and to make their voices heard. He have labeled them, some of them as criminals, that if you are protesting for a good cause and you call yourself a peaceful protester, why are you destroying property? He have defended the police officers about those people that gone missing, those who have been injured, saying that the police have a right to do what they did. They need to protect property and those protesters who were protesting peacefully. So guys, let me know what are your thoughts in the comment section below. If I have any Kenyan that can share, that is watching, that can share light on the issue, I will greatly appreciate it. But I want to say this very one thing. When it comes to the AU, the African Union, that it is very compromising when you say, the African Union is working for the interests of Africa, but then you put a man in charge of the affairs of Africa who is well known to be a puppet of the West. Because, as I said before, Ruto has made it quite clear that they will, working along with the West is something that he will continue to do. So guys, that's it for me. Take care. God bless you. Until the next video.